Cloak and Dagger, Cloak and Dagger. We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost, the home for college sickos. If you want to support this with a donation, hit the $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. Good news. Good news. Number one, I did not start the show with a PATC rendition. Karen Shakar, I hope you don't get another PATC rendition at the Open. If you missed our live show yesterday, and shame on you if you did, I sang Nico, I'm a Lever on a jet plane, John Denver. Now, I will grant Shakar and everybody else this. I made a mistake during that. I started on the wrong key. I made a fatal mistake. I should have started that a little bit lower. I screwed it all up. That should not come as a surprise to anybody. But my next PATC rendition, just like Greg the Gold is finally going to appear this year, the next PATC rendition, we are going to nail it here at Peek Around the Corner. That's one good news. The other good news is we're going to have just a very simple show today. We're going to be just talking about a couple of things. And then we're going to open up the phone lines a lot earlier than we have been in the last couple of weeks. I kind of like today. I kind of like it because we are heading into some drama. We have got some cloak and dagger stuff going on. We are heading towards some drama. So we're going to have I have reasons to believe that the second half of April is going to be drama-filled. One, besides this house settlement thing going on, one particular subject is going to start boiling over, and that is the college football playoff, the format. There's going to be another meeting later this month, and I don't think it's going to be kick the can down the road type of meeting. In fact, I think we're going to get some reporting on it before the meeting begins. That's all I'm going to say on this live show. So I think it's good when we got other stuff going on. So I think it's good that, we're going to get a nice, simple, relaxing show on a Monday, starting the week, Monday, April 14th. We're going to be talking about North Carolina. We're going to be talking about Bill Belichick. The spring football game, there wasn't many people there. Not a whole lot of excitement. To be honest, though, there is no spring football anywhere, almost everywhere. Not a big thing. It is dropping in interest. A lot of coaches are eliminating it. It's just not what it was. So I'm not gonna, but it is clear. It is very, very, very clear. Substance over style. Bill Belichick. Now, hopefully the substance works. But he's not interested in the style. The style of your average college head football coach. He's not interested. Bill Belichick is not interested in waving the pom-poms, getting in front of the mic, doing all these different events to get excitement, to get fan engagement involved. I don't know how it's going to work. Like, he's the opposite of Deion Sanders. But Deion Sanders does have some substance. And Bill Belichick does have some style. But it ain't the style that we really recognize here in college football. So we're going to be going over an article written, once again, WRAL. And we're going to go over that article. They're going to be analyzing Bill Belichick and how he has taken the early reins of the North Carolina Tar Heels football program. But first, we're going to open up the show with our main subject. What are Nico's options? What is Nico, I'm a leaving on a jet plane option? What are the chalks? We're going to go over them. We're going to go over them quickly here. But I have been told some information not about the Chalks. About a program out there, about a team out there, about an athletic department out there that is the mystery team. The dark horse. There's a team out there that I have been told today that is mightily interested in Nico. I'm not going to tell you the name of the team right now. We're going to get into it here. We're going to start off the show. And when I say the name, I'm probably going to get some heat from people in that fan base. I'm here to take it. I'm here for you to drill me and tell me that I am a moron. But before you do that, please hear me out. This mystery team is not the chalk. They're not the top domino for Nico. But they are a team that wants to have that discussion with Nico. They probably have with his people. And if Nico doesn't go to the 1-2 chalk, number 1 or number 2 chalk, that if you see on the title screen, we've got at UCLA in North Carolina, that mystery team may just get the opportunity to pull off the miracle. There is a mystery team that I don't see anybody talking about. Other than they are listed on Bet Online as one of the top 12, 15 schools that could get Nico. I did see them listed after I had this conversation with somebody. So it's like, okay, maybe it's getting leaked out. Maybe it's picking up steam. Maybe people are starting to put money on it. We are college football peek around the corner. We're going to give you the peek around the corner on the team in the background that is gaining steam. They could be Nico. I'm a Leva on a jet plane. Don't know when I'm going to be back again. There may be a secret mystery team, and we are going to unload it to you early in the monologue. And then we're going to get to your phone calls. First of all, we're going to do a roll call here. Steel Austin, go Utes. Charles is in the house. Charlie Atwood is here. Mr. Buffalo, Richard L. LSU Tiger, Ryan Brooks. Jimmy is here. Thank you, Mr. Duck, Devil Frog, Riff Ram, Bazoo, Les Austin Jr., go Blue. Hell to the Victors. Mr. Ohio Bobcat, Steven Vitt is in the house. NE is in the house. Tumasta has come early, is in the house. Preston from North Carolina, no numbers for the Heels in practice, gotta earn it. It looks like Preston from Greensboro, an important member of the PATC family. He's buying into it. Preston from Greensboro is buying what Bill Belichick is selling low-key. No numbers. No jersey numbers. You don't even know who you're looking at on the practice field. I'm going to talk about more on that, Preston from Greensboro. But it sounds like the man is sold. Jay Chapman is in the house. Sammy Hammond, Healing, Florida. Caleb Ramirez, High Seas. Jan Holk is in the house. Edward the Auburn Tiger is here. Shakur is here. Expansion Crush, Mr. Hoosier is in the house. The other good news would be if you caught another cold and can't sing. Wow. Wow, they're coming after me today. Just because I was a little bit off key. Just because I choose the wrong key, they are coming after me. Holy smokes. Bill Gunshot, what is up large and in charge? Well, it's not me. It's the little general. Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, helping to keep the lights on. Enjoy your on Mark show the other day. Enjoyed your, Mark Rogers. Yeah, I was on the Mark Rogers show. Second time I've been on there. Second time I was on there before last season. And then he invited me on there last week. Hopefully I'll be on there again before the season starts so I can push my Golden Gopher propaganda before the season starts. Mr. Hoosier, thank you so much. Thank you for watching me on the Mark Rogers show. Thank you for being a PATC family member. And once again, thank you for your incredible generosity. It helps us to keep going here because we spend a lot of time in the studio and on the phones trying to give you the best peek around the corner. Thank you, Mr. Hoosier. I very much appreciate it. Mick Stevens is in the house. Young Seminole. I hope you mentioned Florida State for Nico. All the coaches started to follow him. It's not the mystery team. Florida State is not the mystery team, but it's all over X, right? That the Florida State coaches have started following them. In particular, that is not the steam that I'm going to announce today. Interesting. Interesting and... boy, do you really want that? I don't think that would be a good move at all. I would have a very difficult time believing that Mike Norvell would do that. I don't think Florida State is in the... Thomas Castellanos, he's a tough kid, a good college quarterback. He has a high floor, not so much a high ceiling. I think he's going to help Florida State rebound this year. They might not be able to get to the mountaintop, to the ACC mountaintop, but getting Nico, I'm leaving on a jet plane, coming into Tallahassee after 2-10 season, after all the movement in your locker room. Boy. Castellanos went to Florida State. He believed in Gus Malzahn. I don't see that happening. But I do understand the coaches have started following him. Christopher Shannon, 14 or 16 teams. I don't think it matters. If it's 14, if it starts at 14 for 2026, there is going to be language written in there that's going to easily flip it to 16. It might start at 16 or it might start at 14, but we're getting to 16. Mr. Shannon, we are getting to 16 sooner rather than later. I completely, firmly, strongly have that opinion. Expedition Greg gifted a membership. Holy smokes. Friends call me Sean. Friends call me Sean. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you for the generosity of Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye. Both of you are knighted, officially knighted. Once again, cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Expedition Greg. Thank you so very much for your generosity. Now, one other thing I forgot to get to. Either tonight or tomorrow morning, Early Peak Cloak and Dagger episode is going to be released. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not even going to give you a hint, a wink, or a nod of what that's going to be about. Late tonight or early tomorrow morning. There is a chance that it's going to be released late tonight. So Early Peak Cloak and Dagger, keep an eye on for it. Something is going to get released. Thank you, Expedition Greg. That's for members only. Thank you, Expedition Greg. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Vox Quindaro, thank you. Thanks for yesterday's open. Flugar, I'm still misty-eyed. I'm glad you survived it, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I did not give a warning. Just went into it. Shocked the family. Shocked the PATC family. Ryan Willa. This evil badger is fuming. Tanner has left the building after signing an NIL deal. I haven't even heard about it. Hold on a second. Hold on. When did this happen? Ryan, when did this happen? Six hours ago. Ball State transfer. Kazol was expected to be a big addition to the tight end room. 94 passes complete. 839 yards. Ball State, I remember when Ball State was going to play, who'd they play the first game of the season last year? Some big old team that just rocked them. But I remember the Ball State podcaster was saying, we got one guy on our team that could play for whatever team they played against. I don't remember who it was. Tell me who Ball State played in the first week last season. It was a big Power 4 conference. They absolutely got whooped. Ball State, I think it was Miami. I think they got whooped by Miami. But this tight end was the star on Ball State. He goes to Wisconsin, and he's already leaving. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. I did not know that. Is there any steam on where he is going? Yeah, he signed an NIL deal. Well, woo! Woo! A lot of people are we're gonna have a lot of stories and a lot of players going in the portal. I know my Gophers, some big name on Minnesota. We're all gonna it's gonna be very poisonous for all of us. Tanner, great tight end, has left Madison. Wow, I did not see that. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat. My goodness. CFB Plus is in the house. The Observer is here. Skaven, yes, he's saying UCLA. Charles M. LSU. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Oh, they're talking about Nico. Preston from Greensboro. UCLA, UNC, and Tulane. Could be. We've got two of them on the title screen. The Chalks, UCLA, UNC, but we've got a mystery team. And it ain't Tulane. It is not Tulane. We'll get to it in a little bit. Dr. L. Smith, the doctor is in the house. Go Bucks. Opie, Minnesota Golden Gophers. No, we are not the mystery team. No, we're not. We're not it. But it is a Big Ten team. It is a Big Ten team. But it's not the Golden Gophers. No, we got a redshirt freshman, Drake Lindsey. Remember the name, Opie. Remember the name. 2 years ago, he was the State of Arkansas High School Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. Drake Lindsey, remember the name. Skaven, yes, USC. Florida man goes Seminoles. Money for nothing. Dire Straits, The Observer. Mick Stevens, thank you so much for the super chat. Mr. Hornfrog, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, helping us keep the lights on. MBM, Michigan or Michigan State talking to Nico? I do not know. Those are not the Big Ten teams I'm talking about. Morris Simmons is in the house. Flint Dog is here. Expedition Greg, thank you for doing Ohio State Spring Game Watch Party. The #1 college football YouTube channel in the country right here, PATC. Always good to see you. Thank you, Expedition Greg. It was fun. We do one every single year. We did USC, then we did Colorado, then we did North Carolina State last year. This year we did the Buckeyes. Mylan Graham was the PATC player of the game. You're going to have Jeremiah Smith on one side. You're going to have Mylan Graham on the other side. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Greg, you were in many keys. Well, wait a second. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't. Here we go. Richard Brookins is in the house. Lee, any program that takes Nico is not a serious program. Greg, you started in the key that had never been keyed before. Nico would be DJU #2 for Florida State. I cannot imagine Florida State doing that. I cannot imagine that. Rod Nix is in the house. Friends call me Sean. I agree. Deadeye, yo Greg, yo Deadeye. What a tragedy for Lacey. Yeah. He made a fatal mistake. United States veteran lost his life because of Lacey's mistake. And then Lacey, reports are that he left the scene, and now later on here he has ended his life. And prayers go out to Lacey and his family and his loved ones. And it's terrible. D5 Terps is in the house. We lost 2 of our better players for NIL. Ryan Willie said the tight end skipped practice this week. And Tanner. Morris Simmons that says that mystery team must be desperate. They are looking for a complete reset. That's how I'm going to put it. That is how I am going to put it. Braden Locke was terrible. Kevin Pryor. Wouldn't it be funny if Nico went to Syracuse? Q's and Vols in the Atlanta opening weekend. That would be something. And Syracuse is listed on Bet Online as one of the top, 12, 15 possibilities. They're listed as the longest shot. MBM says USC, UCLA, or Washington. Opie says sounds like Wisconsin then. We'll get to it in a second here. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Here is my picture earlier today. I wonder if Ryan Willie saw this. There is the picture. From love to Golden Gophers to my beloved neighbors to the east, the evil Badgers. PJ Fleck eating a nice steak dinner. Mashed potatoes. Red wine, and Fickle has his toasty toast, whatever that is. The thing that there's a bowl game named after it, and a glass of water. There it is. Okay, enough of picking on Wisconsin for today. Ryan Willie is already upset enough. That picture didn't even have to do with that tight end thing. Yeah, it's not real. It's not real. D5 Terp says, no way it's Maryland. We just got the guy from UCLA and Malik Washington. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. Northwestern, they can't coast along anymore. All right, let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it. We are going to hit the prime time. Rod Nick says Purdue, new coach, new era. Pop-Tart. I couldn't think of the name Pop-Tart. I could not think of a name. Jose says it's got to be UCLA then. It can't be UCLA. Well, it could end up being UCLA, but not the mystery team. The title screen has Nico's Chalks, UCLA on the left, UNC on the right, and then Nico's mystery team. Lee says it sounds like Iowa. Ryan Willie, I don't want Nico at Washington. Okay. Let's get to it then. Let's get to it. So, again, first of all, let's cover this. New offensive coordinator from Bama. Ryan Grubb, who was the great offensive coordinator at Washington Huskies for Kalen DeBoer. Ryan Grubb puts Ty Simpson as the front runner in Bama's quarterback competition. If we're playing a football game tomorrow, Ty Simpson would start. That is basically the one quarterback battle that is going on in SEC, but it looks like Ty Simpson is out ahead. All those other guys are real young. Ty Simpson is out ahead. On 3, Bill Belichick will be a known buyer in the quarterback market this spring. Pete Knuckles has reported. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Asking price is $4 million. Could be too much for North Carolina. So, of course, North Carolina is one of the chalks, right? $4 million is probably going to be too much for everybody out there. Nico is looking for a bidding war. Is he going to get one? We shall see. But North Carolina, no, Max Johnson did not play in the spring game. He's throwing the football around, but he's trying to recover from an injury. They've got the transfer kid from Purdue, Brown, but they don't have a whole lot there. They've got to get a quarterback in the portal that can compete for the starting job. So North Carolina is going to be in the mix. And they're one of the top 2 favorites. Here is the odds. Bet online odds on who is going to get Nico Imaliva. I'm leaving on a jet plane. UCLA is number 1 at 2-1. Number 2 is North Carolina, 5-2. Number 3, this is Bet Online. The money is flowing in. USC is 3-1. The Red Raiders 5-1. Colorado 6-1. Arizona State 7-1. Notre Dame Fighting Irish 9-1. The Terrapins are 11-1. The Oregon Ducks are 12-1. The California Bears are 16-1. Fran Brown, pretty interesting here. Remember, they got Kyle McCord in last year's portal, and he did really good for the Orange. He absolutely did. No question about it. He's helped his NFL stock greatly. Who is going to get drafted first? McCord, or is it going to be Howard? That's one of those draft storylines that people are going to be following. Syracuse at 20-1. Now let me go through some of these teams that I think they should not be on the board, in my opinion. In my opinion, they should not even be on the board. Hold on one second. We are going to start with Texas Tech. Preston from Greensboro, so thank you so much for the gifted 5 memberships. Holy smokes. Big Gun Shop, No Blooded, Scott P., The Boral Dog, Michael Uten. You all been gifted a membership. Please say thank you to Preston from Greensboro when you get the opportunity. All of you, all 5 of you, and of course, Preston from Greensboro are knighted once again, Cloak and Dagger. You're a member of our channel, which means you can go to our library of episodes. You can check out the early P Cloak and Dagger episodes from members only, where we drop a little bit of Cloak and Dagger, a little bit of nugget of information in there before we take it live. We are going to be releasing a new episode late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Preston from Greensboro, thank you so much for your incredible generosity once again. Thank you so very much. Now, looking at the odds. Texas Tech, no, there's no way. No way is the Red Raiders going for Nico. This is the Red Baron, Morton. This is last season, Texas Tech. He threw for over 3,300 yards. He was brilliant. He was better than Nico. No way is Texas. No, there is no way. I don't see Deion Sanders making the move. I think they've got some, they got that true freshman. They've got the kid from Assaulter, the kid from Liberty. Why? No, it doesn't make any sense. Arizona State, if you could, you're going to bring in Nico for a couple million years for him to sit a year because he ain't going to play ahead of Sam Levitt. Is that the play? Is that the possible play? Notre Dame, there is no way Notre Dame's bringing in Nico. I'm a leaving on a jet plane. There is no way the Fighting Irish are doing that. They've got 4th-year guy, Angeli. They've got C.J. Carr, a redshirt freshman, who is absolutely brilliant in the Fighting Irish spring football game. 14 of 19, he was absolutely brilliant. He's their future. He's their star. He might not start week 1 of this season, CJ. He might not. But he's going to be their superstar here in the next couple of years. Now, Minchie, the 3rd-string quarterback for Notre Dame, he might go in the portal because he's firmly behind Angeli and C.J. Carr. So we might see a Notre Dame quarterback going into the portal that a lot of people are going to have interest in. But no, I don't see Notre Dame. Maryland, Well. Maryland Terrapins. Yes, you are the mystery team. Yeah. You brought in the transfer. You brought in, you got Malik Washington, who is a 4-star true freshman. But Maryland is the mystery team. 11-1, and probably climbing. We have heard that Maryland would love to be able to have that conversation. They have lost some guys. They lost their basketball head coach because he figured out that Maryland was going to do a lot of rev share money and NIL money. When they can do the NIL money, that's going to go into the football program. Maryland wants a reset. Michael Locksley is willing to gamble. They lost Billy Edwards. So I would keep an eye on the Maryland Terrapins. This came from a very credible Maryland source. So keep an eye on Maryland. They're not the Chalk. They're not UCLA. They're not North Carolina. You can see why UCLA would be such a possibility. They're not going to pay a whole. Maybe they can come up with a couple of million. Maybe Wasserman. Maybe they'll pull it off at UCLA. North Carolina, they're not going to go to $4 million. Maryland ain't going to go up that high, but Maryland needs some juice. Locksley has been there for a long time. He needs some. Malik Washington. Locksley is trying to keep his job. They're really going to hand over the keys to Washington. Aguilar, the transfer quarterback. UCLA, is he going to be enough for the Bruins? North Carolina. These three teams, Maryland, North Carolina, UCLA, those are the three teams, in my opinion. Maryland, no longer the mystery team because we gave you the peek around the corner. Keep an eye on Maryland. Oregon Ducks, California, Syracuse. I don't think Oregon's going to be in the mix. California, Devin Brown. No, California's not going to be paying that money. They got Devin Brown. Syracuse is probably a live shot, a long shot, but a live shot. UCLA, North Carolina, they're the Chalks. Maryland, keep an eye on Maryland. Replica. Thank you so much, Replica. Appreciate it. According to TJ, and I'm not going to say it, the head coach of Tennessee promised Nico he would install a pro-style passing concept so he could prepare for the NFL, but hypo reneged. Well, that all may be true. Tennessee the last 2 years has not had the offensive line that could block Replica and the fat guy from Minnesota. So Nico has been running for his life. They've had to move the pocket constantly. By design rolling out or by Nico getting out of there quickly after a 3 or 5 step. They didn't have the personnel to do that. Nico doesn't throw and rip. I don't know. I don't even know if that would work. I can understand why Nico would want that. Now, if Nico wants that, then he should be going to North Carolina. Then he should be playing for Bill Belichick to get him ready for the NFL, pro-style offense, have your reads quickly in the pocket, always have a hot route. That's always Bill Belichick. Tom Brady always had a hot route ready to go. He should go to North Carolina then. But Tennessee's offensive line was not They were not, the offensive line did not help Nico out. Dylan Sampson, the great running back of Tennessee, 5.8 yards per rush, and it was done the hard way. Over 1,400 yards rushing, and he led the country in broken tackles. A regular human would have averaged 4.1 yards per rush. Sampson averaged 5.8. He's the one who carried the team. The offensive line did not. Nico did not. The defense did, and Sampson did. Thank you, Replica member, for 13 months. Holy smokes. Replica, Mr. Longhorn, you are officially knighted, cloak, and dagger once again. Thank you, Replica. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Daniel Gorby says it's going to be a big mistake if North Carolina takes Nico. If they do, Tennessee Vols, they ambushed Nico. Shakar says that's PR to make Hypo look like the bad guy. Nathan Campbell, how you doing, sir? Sacramento State Hornets. Okay, let's get to the North Carolina story. Let's get to Bill Belichick, and then we're going to open up the phone lines here real quick. So buckle up, brace for impact. Thank you, Replica. I appreciate it. WRAL Murphy, once again, Brian Murphy, Belichick, UNC, and spring ball with unremarkable practice. Brian Murphy, WRAL. With fans calling out his name, hoping for an autograph or a photo or even a glance in their direction, North Carolina football coach Bill Belichick walked off the new Kinnan Stadium grass Saturday night without missing a step. The Tar Heels ended their spring practice schedule, the first under Belichick, with Saturday's practice like a pro event under the lights. The practice lived up to its meager billing, brimming with all the excitement of an NFL practice in week 4. UNC hired Belichick, a 6-time Super Bowl champion, as the head coach of the New England Patriots to bring sizzle to a program desperately lacking it. A $50 million gamble that Belichick would transform the Tar Heels into a football school, or at least pay off in an increased fan interest, ticket sales, sponsorship dollars, and media rights. But the coach is substance over style. In his first few months on the job, he constructed a program in his image. No numbers on the jerseys for any player throughout spring or in Saturday's final practice. No player interviews throughout spring or after Saturday's final practice. Now, Preston from Greensboro, PATC family member, he likes that there's no numbers on the jersey. You've got to earn the numbers. You know, when I go to the Gophers spring practice, August camp, I always got my notebook, and I've got the numbers written down, and I've got notes with the players that I want to see, and the jersey numbers. Usually, you know, it's the transfer guys or the true freshman players. You're not accustomed to the numbers that you're wearing. It would bother the hell out of me if my guys, my Golden Gophers, did not have numbers on their jersey. That I would not be happy, because I'm going there to watch a spring practice game. I want the experience, the college fan experience. I want to be able to watch these guys. Sometimes, you know, a lot of these spring practices, they're running stuff for all 4 corners of the football field. You only can look at one thing at a time. So you're looking for a jersey number. You know, they got the practice uniforms on. You're looking for a jersey number. So that I would not like that. No player interviews, I don't really have a problem with that. You know, you're trying to build a culture. You've got your ways of doing it. That's fine. The jersey number, that has to do with fan experience. I don't know what that would do for, I don't know, maybe creating, again, culture in the locker room. I don't know. I do not know. No assistant coach interviews throughout the spring or after Saturday's final practice. Again, if I was the press trying to cover the North Carolina Tar Heels, this would be kind of disconcerting. You're trying to build exposure for the program. But this is not the Bill Belichick way. He's not going to do it like a college head coach. Belichick spoke to the media near the beginning of spring practice and not again. Not even at the end of Saturday's event. Didn't even pick up the microphone to thank anyone for coming out or tell them how important their presence this fall would be. It may be that Belichick way is the best way to build or rebuild given the change over on the roster, a college football program. It's not definitely the best way to boost fan engagement. North Carolina needs fan engagement. North Carolina is going to have to hope that the well-produced social media videos and the Super Bowl rings on Belichick's hands and the promise of more wins under Belichick sell the program, because the $10 million per year coach isn't in that business. Remember, Bill Belichick is a massive gamble for Bubba Cunningham and the athletic department in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And if you're not going to sell the program, if you're not going to do it the old college way, Belichick has got to bring the wins. He's got to bring the wins early. Does that mean Nico? Does that mean Nico? Because the quarterback room is not much to look at, in my opinion. At one point, early in the 2-hour practice, it appeared that Belichick was being mic'd up by his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Presumably for more in-house and well-done audio. So we may hear from the coach at some point. In other words, they may replay everything that some of the things that Belichick said during practice. They've got it recorded. They're gonna make it, the production value may be very high, and they're gonna be well produced audio, visual, video packages of this practice. Possibly, maybe. On the field, Purdue transfer Ryan Brown and freshman Bryce Baker took all the game action reps at quarterback. Returning quarterback Max Johnson, who was working on his way back from last year's devastating season-ending broken right leg, threw balls during drills. The offense topped the defense 20-15 in a red zone showdown in the final period of practice, but the offense was limited to 3 field goal attempts, 2 made in the final 5 drives. And after all of that, it was hard to tell who Saturday's event was for. Certainly not for fans, unable to tell who the players were, even with the roster, thanks to the lack of jerseys and the jersey numbers. The muted playlist felt as if it came straight off General Manager Michael Lombardi's iPhone, heavy on Springsteen and Queen and Van Halen, which did little to pump up the players or the crowd. The players sign autograph for fans after the game, but not in any organized manner. And finally in the article, WRAL, Brian Murphy. At least the Practice Like a Pro event had a sponsor. So it probably made a few bucks. It was presented by Wegmans. If you're going to have an event open to the fans, make it fan friendly. Make it an event. Make it something that will juice the excitement for the season. Let me know what you think. Now, Belichick, he ain't going to change. He's won 6 Super Bowls. He's got a big old contract. He's getting paid $10 million. Is he going to be able to create excitement just by his name alone, by his resume? Incredible. Hall of Famer. He's not going to do the rah-rah. He's not going to do the pom-poms. Let me know what you think. North Carolina, they're going to get themselves a quarterback in the portal. Max Johnson, even when healthy, they need a quarterback in the portal. Is it going to be Nico or somebody else? Let me know in your comments. We're going to open up the phone calls right now. Let's get this going. I want to hear from you. When you call in, you can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. The floor is yours. The phone number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give me a call. All right.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger. Ryan Willie is on the line. Thanks for letting me know about the tight end. I did not know that. No idea.
I just found out this morning.
Wow.
About Kim leaving the program.
Yeah.
Because everyone's so hyped up about a quarterback in the 26th class, Hopkins, out of the California school, Meter D, or a 3-star that was now is going to compete with Kurt Smith and all that, and everybody forgot about the current players on the current team. And in the Wisconsin State Journal, it was reported that he had already left Madison.
Wow.
Over the weekend, he had recently signed a NIL deal.
Recently. Wow.
With what happened with Xavier Lucas and now this Cosio, I'm really starting to lose interest in college football.
I hope he didn't get any money.
I hope he didn't either.
And if he did, hopefully he has to pay it back.
And what I don't like is Fickle saying that he didn't really even know what was going on.
Who didn't know what was going on?
Fickle didn't even know why he decided to leave the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look. I did not know. I don't know why I did not know this happened, but after this live show, I'm gonna look into it because that kid, a lot of people wanted that kid. That was a big get for Wisconsin. Huge. He was the player on Ball State. I mean, he's the guy that everybody keyed on. I mean, that kid is a player.
Well, my opinion is that maybe recruits that the redshirt freshman Grant Steck and Ashcraft moved ahead of him, because I have a gut feeling that once Kojo was signed, he thought he had the tight end spot locked up, and he didn't. I honestly don't think he put the effort in, and that's
maybe they shouldn't have signed him to an NIL deal so recently.
I would agree with that. But for Fickle saying that he didn't know what was going on, that bothers me. The head coach should know what's going on. And I'm sorry, but if they don't make a bowl game this year, in my opinion, Fickle should be gone, regardless of the $34 million buyout. Because they keep extending him one more year, and they're always going to have that buyout, the high buyout. And so they basically have to do something with how they manage the team roster and results at the end of the season.
Yeah. I'm reading more about it here. Tight end Tanner Kozola has not been at practice since April 3rd, when he was seen riding a stationary bike. He sustained a lower leg injury at practice April 1st. Tanner is dinged up and is going through a few things right now, so I don't know what's exactly going on, Fickle said. So that was a week and a half ago. And now he has left the program. I don't know, maybe he got dinged up, and obviously he got dinged up. Maybe he's lost I don't know. I'm shocked. He was going to be like I cannot believe guys moved ahead of him. Well, guys moved ahead of him because he's probably injured, but he was expected to be a big addition into the tight end room. He got 94 passes last year, 2024. He was listed as the top returning tight end in college football by several analysts. So that's what I'm saying. This guy he returned home the weekend of April 4th. Two other sources said Kozola intends to hit the transfer portal again when it opens on Wednesday. But Wisconsin officials said they had no information on the matter when asked Sunday. He had a solid first week of spring ball, but then began to deal with injuries, and he hadn't been at practice lately. Well, that's too bad. That's too bad. I did not know that. Thanks for the info, man. Appreciate it, Ryan.
All right. Well, that's all I got. I'm really upset with the way that things are going in college football.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Not a bit. College football is in danger right now. It's sitting on the knife's edge. So.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Call again, sir.
All right.
Stormy cyclone Nico to Minnesota. Ready to support football? No. We got our guy. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Drake Lindsay. Remember the name. Drake Lindsay. Remember the name. Morris Simmons, if Florida State goes to the Big Ten, it will definitely move Notre Dame to the Big Ten or Miami. The Observer, I feel your pain. George went through 40 years of mediocrity. It hurts. You know you should be better than when you see what you see year after year. Notre Dame might not have the option to not take Florida State. Oh, you guys are going to reel me into that convo, huh? We shall see. We shall see. What do you think Notre Dame opinions are at this point? Notre Dame hasn't changed. I mean, Notre Dame is always looking over their shoulder to see if they can sustain their football independence, and they've been able to do it. They made a decision after USC went to the Big Ten. They made a decision to say to stay where they're at. They let the Big Ten know, and then the Big Ten started planning for the Washington, Oregon. But a lot of things had to happen. We had Peek Around the Corner. We went through it step by step by step, and they all happened. And so they got Washington and Oregon. But Notre Dame, I believe the walls are closing in on them. Nobody has given me an answer. Nobody has given me an answer how Notre Dame could keep their obligations to NBC. You all are talking about NBC being shaky on the Big Ten schedule. What about Notre Dame? What about Notre Dame if Florida State and Clemson and Miami leave the ACC? I hear people talking about, well, you know, Big Ten needs this, Big Ten needs that. What about Notre Dame? The Big Ten makes a gigantic amount of money. They're going to make a gigantic amount of money on their next media rights. Regardless. My question is, what about Notre Dame? What if they lose Florida State, Clemson to the SEC? What if the SEC has a huge expansion? And if you want to go the other scenario, if you want to say Florida State goes to the Big Ten with whoever, Georgia Tech, whatever. If you want to say Florida State and Georgia Tech to the Big Ten and North Carolina and Virginia to the SEC, that's fine. Use that scenario. How does Notre Dame keep up their media value to their partner? It ain't gonna be this private ACC. Notre Dame ain't gonna take a massive pay cut. Again, people talk about NBC being a little leery of the Big Ten schedule. But then they get amnesia or they lose it. They lose all their logic if you ask them about Notre Dame if they lose the top brands of the ACC. It's simple math, ladies and gentlemen. If there's more consolidation of the top brands in the P2, if Florida State, if a Clemson, if a North Carolina, if a Miami, which I think they're all going to be moving at some point. And they're not going to be scheduling Notre Dame nowhere close to what Notre Dame gets scheduled now. No way. It's impossible. That is the walls closing in on Notre Dame. Not only that, but Notre Dame wants their Olympic sports, their non-revenue sports, to compete at the highest level possible, just like every other athletic department. And that's not going to happen in this new ACC either. So that's why, and I know a lot of, look, I get it. Being independent brings great value to Notre Dame, as long as they can keep it. Notre Dame has been saying no to the Big Ten for decades. I get it. But it hasn't been a no, slam the door shut and lock the door and throw away the key. It's been, yeah, I appreciate it. You got us in your media contract. In case we make the move, we know what the number is. This is Notre Dame talking. We know what the number is. It's bigger than it is now. Notre Dame would make more money as a Big Ten member. We get it. But not right now. We think we can maintain what we've got right now. The main reason why we don't believe Florida State is going to go to the Big Ten, well, two reasons. One, the Big Ten presidents. Florida State needs a blend to get into the conference. Florida State needs a blend to get into the Big Ten conference. And it's going to come from 1 to 3 schools that can help Florida State get to the Big Ten. 1, North Carolina. 2, Miami. 3, Notre Dame. All of that, we believe, would satisfy the Big Ten. All parts of it. All parts of it. But we don't think North Carolina is going to be able to, we don't think, we might end up being wrong. We might end up being wrong, but we don't think the Big Ten's going to be able to grab North Carolina. We just don't think so. We may end up being wrong. And if we are wrong, that changes the dynamics. But we think North Carolina is going to go to the SEC. So the other two options is Miami and Notre Dame. Notre Dame they're not an ally of Florida State. They're not. There it is. It's blunt. I'm being honest with you. They're not. It doesn't mean it's definitely not going to end up together, but they're not an ally to Florida State. And everybody knows it, including Florida State. I mean, Notre Dame has said it in public. They have said it in private. They have voted against Florida State. They're not an ally of Florida State. Plus, Notre Dame ain't going to be, we don't believe that Notre Dame's going to be the first one to pull the trigger. Internal politics, they don't need to. They're going to wait to see what happens. They're going to see how big the scoop is from the SEC. They know they're going to get that phone call from the Big Ten once the SEC scoops, once they poach. So now the only other combination is a Florida State and Miami. That works. Most likely a Florida State and Miami. For all, I've been saying it for a long time. A lot of people have said it. A Florida State and Miami works. Florida State doesn't have to be AAU. They're an emergent research. They're working on what they need to work on. You better believe Florida State has had talks with the Big Ten and the SEC on what they need to do. You can see it. It's in the public reports. Florida State is working it. Miami has weaknesses. Miami has strengths. That is the blend. Washington and Oregon were a blend. USC, UCLA were a blend. A Miami, Florida State would work. It would probably work too well. And I think we believe The SEC knows that, and I don't think they're going to allow that to happen. So that we think they're going to cut that possibility off. So for all these reasons, we think Florida State's going to go to the SEC. If they come to the Big Ten, if Florida State comes to the Big Ten, please hit the record button when I say this. Please hit the record button when I say this. If Florida State comes to the Big Ten, it has to be the right blend. It ain't going to be with Clemson. It's not. So that is why we've for lots of reasons, for a lot of different chatter out there. Now, there's a lot of smart people that disagree with us here at Peek Around the Corner. A lot of smart people, including PATC family members. But there's a lot of smart people who say, yeah, we don't think that the people in Birmingham are going to let Tallahassee and Miami go to the Big Ten. Don't think they're going to let that happen. They'd rather see a Miami, Georgia Tech go to the Big Ten. Miami and a Notre Dame go to the Big Ten. A Miami and a Duke go to the Big Ten. I don't think Birmingham, the people of Birmingham, the SEC headquarters, is going to want Florida State and Miami. Because Florida State has gotten to the point where the Big Ten presidents possibly maybe could push it if it's the right blend. But I don't think Birmingham is going to do it. And I'm going to say this. There is still this thinking out there on X and on message boards that Fox is going to decide everything for the Big Ten. That they're going to decide the next expansion because they're going to pay for it. Fox needs to be on board with the next move. Fox needs to be on board with the next move. But they're not the ones who's going to say what the next move is. It's a distinction. There's a difference. Fox has to be on board, whatever the Big Ten does next. But it doesn't have to be Fox's number one or number two. They've got to be on board, but the presidents have got to present Fox with enough to where Fox will okay it. But Fox ain't calling the shots. If you get above the line, if you give above the value to your media partners, whatever blend you have out there, Fox is going to work with the Big Ten presidents. Fox knows the Big Ten presidents. Fox knows what the Big Ten presidents want. They know they want the big markets. It's a national conference. They want to be able to have direct flights in and out. Fox knows that the Big Ten wants this big bandwidth. Fox knows that the Big Ten wants to go in the South with big markets. Fox, this ain't no like, Fox knows what the Big Ten's thinking. Big Ten knows what Fox is thinking. Same thing with the SEC, I mean, it ain't like Greg Sankey's going, I wonder what ESPN is thinking. Sankey knows. ESPN knows that the SEC presidents want North Carolina and Virginia. Of course they know that. They know that. My God, everybody, every single reporter knows it. I know it. I tried to tell you all last summer and I got raked over the coals. It's true. So then, if ESPN is like, well, North Carolina, Virginia, okay, we get it. But we're going to a ninth conference game We're going to pay you a little bit more money. You're going to have this cross-rival games with the Big Ten. Some of them are going to be at home in the SEC. Some of those games are going to be on ABC. We're going to have Florida State and Clemson part of this deal to make it work. That's what we think is going to happen. We might end up being wrong, but I did not take it out of thin air. This is after hours and hours and hours of talking about it off camera to the same people who have nailed every other expansion out there in the last 10 years. This is why we decided on April 8th to deliver the news to you. So the door isn't shut on Florida State to the Big Ten, but they're not the number one option. They're just not. But they might get in at the right blend. They might get in with Miami. If the SEC decide, we'll see. But I, again, am firmly convinced that is the SEC that makes the first move. Not the second, the first move. The first move. And they're going to go, they're either going to go big or they're going to go large. Large. And we think they're going to go large.
Call from
Morris Simmons.
I did not get the name. Go ahead, sir.
Morris Simmons.
Oh, Morris Simmons. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Mr. Seminole.
Okay, Greg, I listened to everything that you said. I know that first thing I'll say, I agree to disagree.
You got it.
And a reason that I'm pushing the narrative of the Big Ten, and I know you said that if SEC was to take UNC, Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, that will move Notre Dame possibly to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
They will move. My thing is this. At the end of the day, if them four schools or any combination of them four schools was to move anyway, Notre Dame going to move. So in other words, what I was trying to say is if Florida State come in as the 19th team in the Big Ten, and let's say UNC, Virginia, Clemson wind up going into the SEC with another school going into the SEC, possibly, Notre Dame is going to move, is going to get out of the ACC regardless. Because that conference right there, it don't hold no value. NBC is not going to look and say, okay, that is not, for the money they pay in Notre Dame, why would I pay for you to sit there in the or schedule anything in the ACC? It's going to force Notre Dame. If Florida State go into the Big Ten, like I said, and you wind up having UNC, Virginia, Clemson, and whoever else go there to the SEC, the door would be open. And you can't, either way, Florida State have a home in either one of these conferences. But there's several scenarios that could put Florida State in the Big Ten. And truth be told, if you look at Notre Dame and FSU, them the two biggest brands that's available and bring eyeballs at the same time, as well as value.
I don't, I don't disagree with you. I think we're just disagreeing. I think we're just disagreeing on the margins. Now, I might have a belief that Notre Dame is a little bit colder to Florida State than you believe.
No. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Okay, but the narrative where everybody keeps saying, well, Notre Dame don't like Florida State. Well, then you have to ask the question, why is that? I mean, if they didn't like us as much as everybody say, then why is it that NBC or Notre Dame they're going to be scheduling games with Florida State? At least they know our value and what we worth. That's one point. Two,
yes,
right, we know our value, but at the same token, you have to be honest. Why is Notre Dame's if it's true that they don't care for Florida State? At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself why. Is it because we voted against Stanford and Cal coming into the ACC? It was no value in that for the ACC. Number two, for years, the ACC been bowing down to Notre Dame.
Yes.
Everybody in the ACC know that.
Yeah.
Florida State just had the nerve. Florida State just stood up and say enough is enough.
Yep. And that's
when the
that's
ACC when the ACC had a chance to bring Notre Dame in the conference, we had a weak conference commissioner that instead cut a deal for Notre Dame that I think it was I don't know if it was during the COVID year, but Notre Dame was looking to play games, and ACC bent over and brought them in. Not only that, gave them full voting privilege, and you didn't bring the football team in. So it's a lot of things that was messed up with the ACC. So people have to really look at the issues with Notre Dame. And at the same token, I know the Big Ten want to get Notre Dame, but also you got to ask the question, how long are you going to continue letting Notre Dame feel like they carrying the cards? Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. This is big business. This is big money.
I agreed with everything you just said, and you said it a lot better than I could. The only way I can answer is this: either the information that has been given to me is correct, or it's been wrong. And the information to me that is the Big Ten ain't gonna move unless their first two targets is North Carolina and Notre Dame. That's it. And if North Carolina gets captured by the SEC, and it looks like that's how it's going to go, then the Big Ten is going to look at Notre Dame and see what we can do. Look, and I've had people say, well, why if Notre Dame knows all this is going to happen, if Notre Dame's got to know that Florida State's going to be leaving. They got to know that Florida State's going to be leaving.
Okay. Right. So, we are not staying in this conference past 2027.
So people bring that up to me and say, why don't Notre Dame be just the first one to pull the trigger then? Because politically, internally, to get away from football independence, there's some big old factions at Notre Dame. The wine and cheese crowd, the money crowd, they're going to have to be shown that it's over. And the only way they're going to see that is actions are taken first. That's why that's why the chalk is the SEC moves first. So if the SEC is moving first and Florida State knows, or at least perceives the same thing that the SEC and everyone else is, that boy, oh boy, the Big Ten's going to sit on their haunches until there's something happen, and they're going to look at the Notre Dame again, which hasn't been our ally. If the SEC comes a knocking, and we happen to think they will, for the reasons I said, Florida State is going to jump, both feet, happy, to be in the monster, to be in the most valuable conference and the most powerful conference in the country, the SEC. This is why we think the dominoes are going to fall to where that the SEC is going to make this big move, and to get North Carolina and Virginia in the doors, they're going to need a Clemson and a Florida State. The SEC doesn't want the Florida State, Miami blend into the Big Ten, so they're playing offense and defense. That is why we think things are going to happen the way they're going to happen. We could end up being wrong. We could end up being wrong. But we don't think the Big Ten is going to lead with a Florida State or lead with anybody else. They're not going to lead with the Miami until the SEC makes their move. And that gets a lot of Big Ten people upset. But that's how we think it's going to go. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
Okay, I know back again to the SEC, UNC, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson. And let's say the SEC make a move, or ESPN make a move to try to capture Florida State with that deal. There's nothing saying that Florida State have to accept that deal. Truth be told, I done heard from several boosters that said, hey, it's a possibility. If the Big Ten, let's say the Big Ten come in and say, well, we offer you 2/3 to come in to the Big Ten, and let's say ESPN come in and give us with the SEC a full ride. I done heard some people say we will take the 2/3 with the Big Ten because it's for a short period of time based on the contract for the Big Ten would be up in what, I think 2030 or 2031.
Yep.
Right. So therefore, truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida State don't take the full ride with the SEC and wind up coming to the Big Ten. The goal that was set up initially for Florida State was to get to the Big Ten. Everything in Tallahassee points in that direction. Like I've been saying, the amount of money in the state and the city backing Florida State on this, as well as the airport project, yes. Did we have some shortcomings? Yes. But all that is being worked on.
Yep, it is. It is. It absolutely is. And everything Florida State is working on is something that the SEC would want them to work on it as well, to be honest. Same thing.
Well, look, there are some SEC schools that you have to do roundabouts to get to also.
Yeah.
So everybody, when you say for transportation wise to get to certain schools, there's some schools even in the SEC that we have to jump through hoops just to get to as a fan base, unless you're going to drive.
That is 100% true, and it's one of the reasons why Notre Dame doesn't schedule more SEC teams. They're very particular about that, Notre Dame. I mean, they moved from the Hockey East to the Big Ten hockey just because of travel. So,
and then I also, like I said, I could stay on here for a minute and tell you some of the stuff that because they finna add 2 more sports at Florida State. One is, from what I'm hearing, is the hockey and gymnastics. So my thing is, like I say, everything that I'm looking at is pointing Big Ten. Now, like I say, I agree to disagree. Yep. And at the same token, Florida State will be fine in any one of these conferences, but we will have a place.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at it's a win situation for the Big Ten if they was to get Florida State, Notre Dame, because it will help them in the TV ratings. Because from what I'm hearing, Big Ten TV ratings is not up there where they would like for it to be.
Well, it's we've got some. Hold on a second. The Big Ten ratings are pretty good, first of all, and the Big Ten ratings don't have to be as high as the SEC ratings because the Big Ten markets are more valuable when it comes to the national advertisers. So there's a lot there we could go over, but there is a report that just came out. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Thank you, Expedition Greg. Ohio State Athletic Director says he's working with the networks to give Ohio State more night games. The Buckeyes have been shoehorned into the big noon kickoff slot more times than they can count. So there you have it. I mean, NBC is going to get, some of those Buckeye. They're going to make it work. So that's one report that just came out. Go ahead, sir.
Well, like I said, Greg, I enjoy your show, but to me, I've been just listening and it seemed like the whole narrative was SEC, and I'm like, no, that's not true, because at the same token, we know that the Big Ten have been talking to Florida State, and I'm quite sure they probably address some of the issues that's going on at Florida State. And our president of the university, his background coming from an Ivy League school, So he stressed education. If you look at, I watch Moen and youth
Yep.
and them, and they put up the graphics, and they show surprisingly. Now, Moen is a person who was big on SEC, Florida State, until he started looking into the numbers and seeing where Florida State was hitting targets that the Big Ten like, for as education. Florida State, for as Miami, we're ahead of Miami. We are also ahead of two other Big Ten schools for its education. So, I mean, the mark is there, and when you look at the numbers don't lie. I'm a big person when it comes to statistics. Numbers don't lie. So when I look at the numbers, it's mind-boggling how everybody's fixated over here. Where, okay, we're gonna go to SEC. And if you're a school president of any one of these schools, you got to look at what's gonna be best for the conference. If you stressing this, okay, then here come Florida State come in with their number, and also it shows year after year the numbers are getting even better.
Yep.
So,
Moen did a great job. Wild Youth did a great job. They do a fantastic job at College Football Mafia. All those numbers are true. And Florida State is an emerging research university. It's not just always the number, it's what you're actually doing research on, what the Big Ten universities are interested. And I know they didn't cover that as much. There is a reason why Miami was voted on by Big Ten institutions to be AAU. Florida State is knocking on the door. So
yes, we're very close. We're very close to getting AAU.
Yeah. So we'll see. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, sir. All right. Look, a lot of Big Ten people agree with you. A lot of fans agree with you. Why is the Big Ten? Why would they waste any time? Pick up Florida State. All I can do is do the best I can in reporting what I've heard. And the dominoes, we don't think the dominoes are going to fall that way. But if we're wrong, you know what I'm going to do, Morris? I'm going to take the big old L.
All right, Greg.
Just like I do with all my picks against the spread, Morris.
Huh?
Just like I do with all my picks against the spread. I take the big L.
Right.
I
don't mind taking the L. I don't mind taking the L if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Like I said, FSU would be great in either one of these conferences.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a nice day, Greg.
Hey, Morris, call again, sir.
Okay.
Beautiful call. Excellent. Morris Simmons, Mr. Florida State Seminole. Beautiful call. Great call. Helmer Hennessy, if athletics is just the front porch of the universities and the big money is in research, why is North Carolina getting a full share so important? Why not rub shoulders with the Big Ten as a member-like institutions? There are a lot of people in North Carolina that would love to rub shoulders with the Big Ten. Love it. But some of them just got kicked out. They are not the majority anymore. Kevin Guslowich went to Michigan State. And again, there's a lot of that money that just can't be shared with your athletic department. Some of these universities do get like the okay to reach into the auxiliary funds of the university to help their athletic department out. That's what athletic director of Florida State, Alford, just did. He went to the Board of Governors of Florida to ask for permission if we can go into our auxiliary funds of our university to help the athletic department out. So a lot of times you can't you can't grab that other money. A lot of times. But yeah, North Carolina would love to. Some of them in North Carolina would love to. But again, the SEC, their last editions have been, Missouri, big research, AAU. Texas A&M, massive research, AAU. Texas, massive. And then Oklahoma was brought in. They were brought in on a blend with Texas. So, and the presidents are looking at North Carolina, Virginia. You got Florida and Georgia, Vanderbilt. You got some heavy hitters in the SEC is growing into a research conference as well because they see the value in that.
Call from
Edward, the Auburn Tiger.
Edward, can you hold on for a minute? Edward.
Yes, sir.
Can you hold on for just a moment?
Yes, sir, I can.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir,
Trying to
I can.
get caught up here. Mr. Wolverine, Helmer Hennison, thank you so much for the super chat. I do very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. Daniel Gorby says Morris is absolutely correct. Florida State is in the driver's seat. Take the best offer. Maybe negotiate to have new leagues pay our exit fees to the ACC. Wow. Daniel Gorby, super chat, supporting Morris Simmons. Florida State is in the driver's seat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Daniel. Mr. Gorby, for helping us keep the lights on here. We've got a little bit of breaking news. We do got some breaking news. Pete Thamel, before we get to Edward, the Auburn Tiger. South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez is set to enter the transfer portal. A source confirms to ESPN. Expect North Carolina to be in the mix. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. So there it is. Gio, we talked about it at the beginning of the program. Mr. Lopez, we talked about North Carolina's going to have to get something in the portal. Got to get something. It might not be Nico, but it's got to be somebody. Edward, the Auburn Tiger, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
Greg, another great show. We at PATC family
Appreciate it.
really appreciate you and all that you do. I know you take a lot of arrows, but man, you keep fighting, and we really appreciate you.
I got a fat belly, so I can take on a lot of arrows, Edward.
Well, man, we got your back, Greg.
Gotcha.
You do a great
Appreciate
job.
it.
Listen, it's the off season, a lot of things happening. And I'll tell you one thing I appreciate about you, even though you in your gut, you are a Big Ten man, you do try to stay in the middle of the road, try to give everyone their accolades, their honor. And so I really appreciate that. And I know being an SEC guy, you have really been talking up the SEC and the changes that are about to happen.
I don't know. How do I say this? Yes, I do have biasness. I'm a Golden Gopher. So I might be a little biased towards the Big Ten and some things without not even knowing it. But I'm not really a Big Ten guy. First of all, it's hard to be a Big Ten guy when your beloved Golden Gophers are getting their heads stomped in year after year, decade after decade by the other Big Ten schools. So first of all, I have to say that. You may know or you may not know, other people know, the Big Ten, they know who I am, Mr. Nobody. They know about this, they don't really like me. So I'll put that out there. So again, I'm biased in the way, Edward, that I kind of know how the Big Ten ticks. I know how they work. I know how they think. I believe I do. I believe I have the track record to prove it. So therefore, that goes into my reporting as well. And the people that I talk with, they're very,
Yeah.
the legal counsel, they're very, this is why I knew for sure that the Big Ten had not given an invitation to Florida State and all this other stories that were out there. I knew all of that was false because that's not how the Big Ten would work. So that's why I'm also bringing that into the story. So I use my Big Ten connections. I'm a little biased. I may not be seeing things clearly, but I'm giving you my best shot. Go ahead, Edward.
And that is true. I mean, you call a spade, which is what I love about you. I have listened to your show 2 years, and trust me, coming from the Southeastern Conference part of the country, you do have some Big Ten passions, but you are down the road middle. You're fair. You give honor where honor's due. You call a spade, and you just have a fantastic show. You just do, and that's why
Appreciate
a lot of
it.
people love this PATC family. And you know what you've been saying about the SEC, about they're getting ready to make big moves with Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson.
I believe.
And
I believe. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
And for a moment, let me just toot the SEC horn while you've been talking about them. You know, this past year, the ABC SEC ratings has been off the charts. I mean, Greg Sankey in the SEC is playing the long game. Okay, we're still trying to win college football championships. Still part of our pedigree.
Yeah.
But we are expanding the board, Greg,
Yeah.
into softball, baseball, basketball, men's and women's. Obviously track. You got gymnastics. I mean, SEC is trying to become the de facto sports. How can you say it? Sports entity, probably in the nation, outside of the NFL, NBA. I mean, they're trying to fill the void, and we feel it down here. People here down here are very excited about it. And yes, we're passionate about it. And no, we're not trying to be exclusive all the time, even though we're very passionate. But it's like when you see the energy, you see the moves that are being made. It's unprecedented what's happening in the SEC with Greg Sankey and really what ESPN is doing. And I'm like you, Greg. I do not believe that ESPN will allow Florida State and Clemson, well, especially Florida State, to be a part of that Miami package going to the Big Ten. They're just not going to allow that. And I personally believe that they on their side, not the SEC side, but the ESPN side, they would not allow the SEC just to take in Virginia and North Carolina without Florida State and Clemson greasing those skids. Because from a football product, it just does not make sense for ESPN. They just don't. Would you agree with that?
That's what we think. That's what we think. And we also think that that the SEC's number one target is North Carolina and Virginia because of all, they're trying to, as you said, they're trying to cover the board or expand the board. And one of the big things is to fight to diversify their student population, to go get students as we hit the student apocalypse in the next couple of years in Virginia, North Carolina, getting in those two states, the flagship schools of those two states go a long way in making sure that the SEC universities do not get behind on the fight for students. Go ahead, sir.
And another thing, Greg, too, is we're 2.5 years, I guess, into the ACC transformation. Coming out of the Pac-12, now dealing with the ACC, and they had came out with that Osceola report about the 4 schools who were discussing going to the SEC, and it seemed like to me, no matter what highs and lows, what transformations taking place, it's like we've gone back to the original formula here. that they're going to be adding these schools, which seems to me, it's like, is there a underneath hand being moved here? You know, ESPN realizing where the court cases were going with Florida State and Clemson, them taking the initiative, them taking the lead on what's going to be done next in terms of what's coming down the road. I mean, they gave Florida State and Clemson and other schools a green light basically to come out of the conference. They guaranteed the rest of the ACC security, which we don't know how much that extends with those schools leave. Would they still be making that $30-40 million? I actually believe they would, because why would those schools even sign off on it if that deal was not made like that? And so it seems like with all these moves happening, we still are back at the same point with these four schools that was in that report now visibly, seemingly get ready to add to the SEC again.
Yeah, I'm not one for believing. I don't believe it, but other people do. I'm not one for believing that the SEC, why they were working with the ACC in the settlement, that they were given a little bit of a hint and a wink and a nod to a Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia. I don't think, settle this and we'll let you, things are going to happen for you. I don't think any of that happened. I don't think any of that communication was going on. I think everything was above board. But I do think that while all this was going on, of course, the SEC, the ESPN is war gaming this out. Like, what is the value of us doing this summit? What could happen in the future? They got the spreadsheets, they got the algorithms, they're using AI, they're trying to figure all this out, and Sankey's doing the same thing. Yeah. And how can we keep value in the ACC if this should happen and all that? So when they're doing all that stuff, of course, and I got to say this 1,000, ESPN knows that North Carolina and Virginia are the number one targets for the SEC. Mm-hmm. They know that. ESPN knows that, guys. They know it because everybody knows it. It's just, we're going to find out in the next year, the next 2 years. I mean, every single reporter has reported it, and they're sitting on the same story today.
I mean,
so,
ESPN.
Go ahead.
ESPN has, is, and will be in the catbird seat. They have to be. I mean, they control these moves. They absolutely do. And even though there is a agreement, a partnership, the SEC making with the Big Ten, ESPN is still looking out for ESPN. And again, all I can do is report to you all what we are hearing, which we could end up being wrong, but it's like because the focus for the presidents are on North Carolina, Virginia, but yet the two biggest brands are Florida State and Clemson, and the Southeastern Conference has plans. They have a plan to go to a ninth conference game. They want more money from ESPN. They're going to do a crossover with the Big Ten, which gets them more money from ESPN. They want to do 3 play-in games, which is more money from ESPN. When you're doing all this, when the playoffs are going to probably expand to 16, when you're doing all this, when you're bringing a Virginia and North Carolina in, you bring a Florida State and Clemson in. And not to mention all the value that Florida State and Clemson brings in. Don't forget, if they go into the SEC, now the SEC is going to make a little bit more money on playoff distribution. Even before we get to 2031, in accordance to what everybody agreed upon last time, where, because Clemson and Florida State have won championship games. They've been in the playoffs. So they're going to bring more value to the SEC. So I think the combination of Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson, they all grease the skids for each other, for the presidents, for ESPN. The dominoes seem to be
line to be able to fall that way with the Big Ten playing cautious, I think that's what's going to happen. But go ahead, finish it up, Edward. I appreciate the call.
And Greg, you have laid this out so beautifully, man. You have. There ain't a T not crossed and an I not dotted in your presentation of this whole thing, which is why I love this show. I absolutely love your show. But, one more thing.
Yep.
So I believe that we really undervalued what has just happened. The ESPN basically forcing, with the carrot, of course, the ACC to sign off on this new extended agreement for these schools to get out with minimal cost to go wherever. I mean, I think in the future we'll look back and say, man, we really undervalue what really happened there, because what it has revealed is the power and the strategic wisdom of ESPN and where college football is going.
All righty, man. I appreciate the call. Beautiful. Edward, call again, sir.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, sir.
I got a lot of catching up to do. Curtis, Michigan, Wolverine, Curtis. Miami will regain their winning ways in the Big Ten. Playing a national schedule against the Blue Bloods will blow them up. We shall see if they get to the Big Ten. If they get to the Big Ten, hopefully they schedule the Hurricanes against my beloved Golden Gophers in November. You didn't do that, Petiti. You didn't do that with the Bruins and the Trojans last year. You did not do that. I saw what you did. I saw what you did. You did not bring USC or UCLA up to Minnesota in late October, November. Now, Minnesota was still able to beat USC at home, but it was early in the year. Minnesota was still able to beat UCLA at UCLA, but we want to bring these teams up in the Great North in late October or November. Petiti, make it happen. I'm watching you, Petiti. I'm watching you. Thank you for the super chat, Curtis. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. Michigan, Wolverine, holy smokes. Opie, look at Opie. Massive super chat. My goodness, Mr. Seminole. Wow, thank you, Opie. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity. It's so funny to hear the Big Ten folks say they don't chant Big Ten like the SEC. But the first thing you hear from the Big Ten folks is, well, we have better academics. We have the BTAA. Well, that sure sounds like the conference chanting to me. Am I wrong? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I never do hear Big Ten. I never hear that chant. And again, I'm only talking for myself. A lot of Big Ten fans, you see them in the chat. They're Big Ten. You know, they root for the Big Ten schools and the NCAA tournament and the football tournament and all that. I get it. I don't. But you know what? I understand, like, for example, like the ACC, fans of the ACC. For the betterment of the conference, for the survival of the conference, for the betterment of they root for ACC schools to do good, especially in the college football playoffs. Same thing with the Big 12, because it means so much to the survival, to the health of those. The Big Ten is going to be a wealthy, powerful conference, even if they lose this playoff game, right? They haven't won a basketball tournament since whenever. You know, the Big Ten could go the next 5 years and not seriously challenge for the national championship in football. And they're going to be okay. That's just the way it is. And the SEC, the same thing. So I kind of understand why more people are invested in. in their conference success. But SEC fans, it's a little unique. It's a little different, Opie. It's a little different. Now, when it comes to academics, there's great academics all over the country. There are great academics in the SEC. There's great academics. I mean, Duke and Stanford have these massive research. They share a different library than the Big Ten. It's different things are going on. And it's all important. All of it is important. So when I say that Florida State isn't quite doing yet what the Big Ten presidents want from a research university, I'm not taking a shot at Florida State as a research university. I'm just saying the fit isn't quite there yet. I've talked about it. Florida State has these big numbers. Moen showed it and Wild You showed it, but those big numbers, a lot of that number isn't National Institute of Health expenditures, research expenditures. Like Miami's doing 175 million of that, and Florida State is doing 17 million of that. But yet, overall, Miami and Florida State are both doing about 400 and some million. So it's not just the money; it's what you're doing. What are you doing? And the faculty, and who do you got, and how many? There's a lot to the metrics. But Florida State is an emergent research university, even though they're not AAU. There's a lot of them out there. There is a lot of them out there. They don't quite fit the AAU metrics. They don't quite fit the Big Ten, but they're still tremendous universities. And there is a lot of success stories out there. Florida State is a big one. Now, the Big Ten hopes Oregon becomes a big one. Oregon needed that blend. Oregon wasn't going to come in without a Washington. It wasn't going to happen. Florida State needs to come in with somebody. With the North Carolina, with the Miami, or with the Notre Dame. And we don't think it's going to be with Notre Dame. We don't. And we think it is going to be North Carolina, but to the SEC. We could be wrong. We could be wrong. And if we are, it's going to be a great show because finally, after 3 years, we're going to be taking a massive L on this show. And it's going to be a lot of fun if it happens. If Florida State's in the Big Ten, it's going to be a lot of fun. Minnesota going down to Tallahassee in September. Holy smokes. That is going to be rough. Can you imagine the fat guy from Minnesota with this accent going down to Tallahassee to watch a Gopher Seminole game? That would be absolutely wild. Playing in 95-degree heat. No question, I would melt. I may lose a few pounds. I might lose a few pounds, which would be outstanding. But yeah, what I decided to find the report on April 8th, when I gave you guys my best shot and how it was going to go, the chances of me being 100% correct, the odds that PATC is 100% correct is not very good. We nailed the Georgia thing. We nailed the Arizona State, Utah thing. We nailed the USC story thing. We nailed the Oregon, Washington. But this is so much more complicated. Politics is going to get involved. But we gave you our best shot, and it wasn't done lightly. It wasn't done lightly. But, a couple people correctly pointed out and said, Greg, you made comments about War Chant. Greg, you made comments about other people. Why don't you put up or shut up, fat guy from Minnesota? So we did. We gave you our best shot. We've been given the reasons, the logical reasons why. And again, this isn't just like BTM and a few of his associates. This is also the chatter behind the curtain. This is sort of the consensus of how they believe things will move eventually. And it starts with the SEC, and they don't think the SEC is going to play around. They think they're going to go large. And then the Big Ten is going to operate around that. There's still a lot of value out there if Notre Dame finally decides to join, which we think, God, how can't they at that point? But we'll find out together. It's going to be, look, the month of May, we're going to be hearing some stuff on that subject. The ACC has their meetings. We're going to hear something. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Emphasis on the that. We're going to hear something. It ain't going to be like a report of this is what is going to happen. Like, no, we're going to hear a little bit of steam. What does Sankey think? And what is the timetable? Are we still looking at 2028, 27? We are going to hear something other than from the fat guy in Minnesota. We are going to hear something other than coming out of my mouth. That I can almost promise you. Thank you, Opie. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Jose Hell, Swam called it. Maybe. Swam, a swimming account, said it a few years ago. Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson. A credible collegiate swimming account. So, we shall see. Opie's absolutely correct on that. Curtis, Greg, Miami played Rutgers, Boston College in late November back in the Big East, and they won. Miami lost to Rutgers. Miami just lost to... Yeah, back in the Big East days. Correct. I'm sorry. Back in the Big East days. You are correct. But, look, with all due respect to Rutgers and Boston College, it ain't the same coming up to Minnesota, baby. It ain't the same. But Miami just did lose to Rutgers in the bowl game a couple years ago. They got beat up a little bit. Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate it. Opie, long live people in swim trunks. Long live people in swim trunks. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Opie. Thank you so much for your generosity today. Those wins in Minnesota. Oh, yeah. Okay, I want to thank everybody who joined us. The incredible generosity of Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye, the Evil Badger. This Evil Badger is Fumey, Ryan Willie, Mick Stevens, Mr. Hornfrog, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, Replica, a member for 13 months. Thank you, Mr. Longhorn. I appreciate it. Mr. Wolverine with those very difficult questions. Helmer Hennison, Seminole Daniel Gorby, Curtis, another Michigan Wolverine. Holy smokes. Opie, Seminole Wind, blowing back again with incredible super chat. I appreciate it. I want to thank we've been on the air for 2 hours and 9 minutes. I think it's time. We've covered a lot of stuff here at Peek Around the Corner. The Chalks, North Carolina, UCLA for Nico? What about a mystery team? What about the mystery team? We think that mystery team is the Maryland Terrapins. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Let me know in the comments. I do read the comments even when the show is off the air. I appreciate everybody coming on in. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe now. Have your notifications turned on. We are into a very dramatic April, and May is really going to get crazy. So you got to keep your head on a swivel. To keep your head on a swivel, you got to be subscribed and get yourself notified, because we can come on live at any time. We could come on live again later tonight for breaking news. So I want to thank you all. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time. From all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.